Hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Trek Online. You guys probably know me, of course, from the RSB&B Update podcast, but nonetheless, they were so very kind to let me have a couple hours here at the Clan Quest live stream to just do some stuff on Star Trek Online. And when the opportunity arises, there's a big question about what it should be and whether or not it should be. Oh, maybe it should be RuneScape PVM with your new love for that, as some people said, or perhaps it should be Star Trek Online. And see, so far in chat, we got Zerdones and Sirion. Zerdones up first with the wonderful Heyo. Welcome, both of you. And for everybody else, of course, watching after the fact, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Probably going to go for about 2 hours here. The plan will be to showcase what many affectionately call the Star Trek Online theme park. Please do give any comments in the chat about audio balancing. I think I got most of that right in terms of internal levels of what it sounds like on my end, and ultimately the voice balancing compared to the game. But if anything needs to come up or down, please do pop that in the chat. But nonetheless, I should probably focus on what's on the screen right now. And of course, we are here in Star Trek Online. And as you guys voted, we are running what is effectively known as the Pike's USS Enterprise, the Constitution class, as seen in Star Trek Discovery. And thank you to everybody who voted for that. I know there was a bit of a discussion on Sirion's end that he wanted a different ship, but who knows? Maybe there'll be other streams for that one. But I like this one too. And the fun part about this one is that this is not a meta setup in Star Trek Online, and I don't know how it's going to perform. So we're all flying by the seat of our pants here. But this is Star Trek Online, and the user interface and the game associated with it. Please do pop that in the chat if you have any questions. But what I figured we'd do for this first stream is we'd just go through one of the very well shaped and very well developed episode arcs in the game. The Victory is Life arc for the Gamma Quadrant expansion that came out in 2015. And this was an arc that was their last big independent arc before they started doing things that was focused in with the TV shows. And a lot of the players really enjoyed this arc. And this arc actually has many of the actors from Deep Space Nine, including two of the dearly departed actors, Renee, who played Odo, and Aaron, who played Nog. So just going to dive into the first one here, Storm Clouds Gather. And the interesting part about Star Trek Online is that you can be as immersive or as, I guess you could say, role play as you want in terms of whatever your character is. And that's what this mission arc allows us to do. Yeah, and, Zerdones, you say Deep Space Nine, and that's precisely the reason I went with this one, because it had such a connection to the fans when it came out, and I thought it would be a really good idea to just go with something that a lot of people enjoyed and something I enjoyed. And the whole purpose of this arc is that there's a number of episodes leading up to this one, and there's this mysterious threat that appears, otherwise known as the Herc, as it says, and that is something that the game does really well, is that they focus in on one thing that might have been mentioned in a single Star Trek episode, but they turn an entire mission arc for that into the game. So that's one thing that Star Trek Online does very well. Yeah, it was the episode with the Gamma Quadrant excursion and the Sword of Kalis, which you might think might appear at some point in the mission arc, so fingers crossed on that. But we're going to just head on over to Deep Space Nine and see what this meeting is all about here. And it should also be noted that when players go through the mission in the game, the missions in the game, the episodes in the game are some of the best ways of leveling up. And a lot of the other MMOs that you see out there, such as your World of Warcrafts, they require you to go do various fetch quests along the way to level up and get your character ready for endgame. But just like RuneScape, what Star Trek Online does well is that the discussion is not necessarily about the little fetch quests, but it's more about the stories along the way in the quests. And that's one thing that this does as an MMO that's different than a lot of them.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine. Your docking clearance has been authorized.
And just, I want everybody to just pay attention here once we head on over to Deep Space Nine, what the atmosphere here looks like, because this was a model that was built and put together for this episode. No, it wasn't actually this badly damaged, because one of the things that happened in one of the prior missions arc is that they faced an invasion of the Herc creatures, and they had to actually move the station for it. So that's what kind of previously happened in this mission arc, and it's too bad they didn't provide a previously on Star Trek Online for this one, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, Les Nog. I think we might see him in this episode. But here we are, Deep Space Nine, and there he is.
Here on the station. The leaders of the 4 major delegations have asked to meet with you prior to the summit meeting. Their offices are located here on the promenade.
And the voice acting, these guys who all came back for voice acting just fit so well into their characters. And speaking of characters, I should say that we are on the Sirion character right now. So I don't know if anybody noticed that, but we are on the Sirion character.
Ambassador Odo is here, coordinating security efforts.
And of course we find Odo in the security office.
I'll be blunt. The Herc have decimated most of the Dominion. All but one fleet, gone. It's all the Jem'Hadar can do to keep our remaining worlds from being laid waste. There is no diplomacy with the Herc.
There is no diplomacy.
They're attacking. We're not even sure where they're coming from. I'm sure
keep this opening cutscene in mind of why we don't know that they're attacking.
Us. But where do you think they'll turn once they're finished?
And it's just like RuneScape. If you can read faster than the dialogue is presented, you might as well just read it yourself. I'm just taking it slow for these first few cutscenes here to provide some impact on how the voice acting is done. We don't get to speak with Garrick yet. That's too bad. Everybody loves a Taylor.
Chancellor Jempok has an office here.
Where's Jempok's office?
Here is Proconsul Deton's office.
There we go. And this is the Romulan representative.
This summit may be difficult. While your people will see a path toward peace, I suspect the Klingons will feel the opposite.
And that's a very good point about the graphics. This is a game engine that was actually built prior to 2010 for another cryptic game, and the game engine has not been updated ever since. And we've had ever so slightly marginal improvements on how things look. So that's why things look the way they do. Still came out in February of 2010.
The results of this summit could have long-lasting.
It was a pay-to-play MMO, $20 a month.
Consider the Herc to be a Dominion.
For the first 2 years.
The Federation sees this as
then it went free to play.
Relations with the Dominion. Having allies in the Gamma Quadrant instead of enemies would be a great step toward galactic peace.
And we also have to appreciate the era in which this game launched, because in 2010, keep in mind we didn't have any of the modern Trek that we do, and many people, including myself, thought that all we'd have for Star Trek going forward was that Kelvin timeline nonsense. But obviously over time, we've got to a point where we actually have real Star Trek.
Most of the High Council sees the Herc as a Dominion problem.
And the Klingons are going to be ones we want to pay attention to in this.
And deal with any survivor.
There are several Alpha Quadrant leaders here for the summit. Kai Kira of Beijing.
Now we get to go meet some other of our favorite characters. Kai Kira, previously Major Kira, Garrick, and Rom.
Their worlds will be on the front line if the Herc launch a full invasion.
Yeah. And that's something that was done with the revamp of this episode arc, is that they just increased the DS9 immersiveness to this.
Hello there. I take it you're not here to update your ensemble, though if you'd like a few suggestions...
I love what they did with the Garrick character. He feels one of the most genuine.
Let's talk about serious business, shall we? Surprised? Don't be. Cardassia was recently attacked, but will there be anything else?
No, there's nothing right now, but there will be in the future. Let's see, who are we going to next? No, I mean, of course, he could be genuine in terms of the way he's represented as to how he was on screen. And perhaps, maybe I see him as genuine on the show, too, but maybe that says more about me than about the actual character himself.
I'm guessing you're here to talk about the Herc and what we want to do about them. It's no secret that the Ferengi aren't a military powerhouse like the Klingons. Most of the time, we would have been wiped out without help. And we didn't get it from Starfleet or the Klingons. We got it. Did you have another question?
Yep, that's another very good observation with this, too. That you can definitely tell that all the characters weren't wearing their full makeup when they did the voice acting. Now, before we go on and talk to the last character, just one thing that everybody noticed when they updated the DS9 map is that this one's actually smaller than the old one used to be. Because when they built this model for the game, they actually built it off of the exact dimensions that the TV set was built off of, which is a lot smaller than many people actually thought it was. Where am I going? Oh, going over here to the temple.
Hello there. I suppose Admiral Quinn...
Now we're probably wondering, how did Major Kira end up as Kai?
I can tell you, we're worried. The Herc were a few ships away from ravaging our homeworld.
Yep, Kai Kira is a sentence.
They'll be back, and we'll be the first to face them, so Major stands ready. We'll do what we can to stop the Herc. There's something else I should mention. As Kai, I'm obligated to serve the will of the prophets. Doing so leads me to many places, not just Bajor. That can be difficult, especially in times of war. There's been a lot of that in the last few years. First the Dominion, then the Klingons, the Iconians, and now the Herc.
That's everybody who we've had to deal with here in Star Trek Online. The Dominion, Klingons, the Iconians, the Herc, maybe a little bit of Borg thrown in throughout the way.
But it's been a challenge. Something else on your mind?
The Alliance has asked a number of special consultants to attend the summit. I know each of them well, and I can vouch for their knowledge and skill.
Alright, does anybody have any predictions of where we go next with this? Of what happens next when there's a big summit of leaders? What's going to happen next?
Or the value of his information could rise considerably.
That's going to be the big question. What happens next? Because, as we all know, wouldn't be a story without some kind of conflict. Yeah, that would be fun if that were if that were to happen, Zerdones, but they tried to get Avery Brooks, I think the Cisco actor, in for this, and he is just completely done with Star Trek at this time.
We're still treating casualties, and it looks like we'll be seeing more soon.
Another one they did justice to of the characters, of course, Dr. Bashir.
The situation is compounded by the presence of civilians, both local and from other systems, even the Dominion. We have a number of refugees from the Gamma Quadrant on the station, and more on the way. I mustered out some time ago to start a private practice on Trill.
A private practice on Trill? Why could he be there?
Special projects for Starfleet from time to time as a consultant. Even managed to start a family.
Why would Dr. Bashir be spending time on
I
Trill?
wasn't initially thrilled with the idea of putting the... Something on your mind?
Yep, that's precisely it, Sirion. The quote-unquote love interest.
Don't suppose you're here for a drink? Holosuite? Double? If you ask me, we'd be better off sealing that wormhole and saying goodbye.
Bork still wants to seal
and
up the wormhole.
Dominion forever. I'd miss the Tullaberry wine, but I'd get over
Yeah, we'll click the moon option.
I do. And I'd be there, enjoying myself. If it weren't for the Grand Nagus. Brother or not, I wanted... Can I get you something?
Let's see. Who else? We probably just need to talk to Lita here.
Hello. My husband is risking a lot of capital, political and otherwise, by choosing to get involved with all of this. Look, if I were this mirror version of me I've been hearing so much about...
Mirror Lita.
I'd have a lot more tactical...
The mirror version that everybody talks about. One thing that people might not be aware of is that the Lita character from Star Trek Deep Space Nine played very prominently into Deep Space Nine on the mirror version of herself. So maybe that's something we'll see at some point in the future.
Yeah, in that alternate universe where good people are evil and vice versa, turns out the evil... Was there something else?
There's a number of refugee groups here on the promenade.
And I promise everybody that this entire business here of talking to everybody is not what we are going to be doing for this entire arc. This is just effectively onboarding the characters for this story arc. Because in an action RPG game, who likes talking to random refugees and Karma people when we want to be talking with our main characters?
No Jem'Hadar ships came. Our local defense force didn't last. Word of the Bajorans and their faith reached us after the war.
Gwen here. The summit will begin.
Ah, there we go. The summit's about to start. Here we go. Yeah, we could talk to all the NPCs if we wanted to be here for a long time, but I want to get to the action and show off what we can do. Another wonderful Deep Space Nine set, the conference room.
Well, everyone's here and no one started shooting. Could be worse.
Everyone's here and nobody started shooting. And we can even look out the window, too.
Greetings. I am Wayun 10. Glad we had this moment to talk before the summit begins.
And see, we're already up to Wayun 10 here. Of course he had to make an appearance. Such a wonderful character.
I hope that you conveyed a need.
Hello again. I spoke with Odo about the vision we discussed. He's agreed to clear a mission to the old sector.
Odo's going to let us go to the Gamma Quadrant.
The Kai has a condition that has prevented her from leaving until now.
Hello. I have high hopes.
This is one of Star Trek Online's native characters, Captain Kumarki, member of the Lucaria species that they built for the game. One of the few that they did for that. She featured heavily in the previous mission arcs.
I can't help but think that there's a path to a peaceful resolution in all of this.
And then another fan favorite.
Jempak is more of a political creature than he was. Well, when we were both a lot.
They always found a way to bring General Martok in, even though he's retired and was apparently... Actually, I won't spoil that, but there was actually a fun little character arc with him prior to this that might have involved imprisonment or death.
There are still Klingons who know where their blades belong. We will not dishonor our ancestors.
If I can have everyone's attention, thank you.
Let's let the summit begin.
We have a lot to discuss. Thank you all for coming. By now, you should be aware of our tactical situation.
Who was
Dominion, as you
initially
know it,
planned to die?
is on the
Martok
verge
or
of
Wayun?
collapse. We've withdrawn to our core systems, and the lines are holding for now.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Will win the war of attrition.
What about your outer
I'd be interested to hear.
We're receiving refugees here, from those areas.
We have one fleet left, Admiral. That's hardly enough to defend the entire Dominion.
I'm failing to see how this concerns the Empire.
The recent battle here is a sample of what the Hurk can do.
If you think they'll stop at the wormhole, you're sadly mistaken.
Need I remind you that the Dominion came to your aid in the Iconian War? I seem to recall Klingons placing high value on debts of honor.
Don't you guys just love the way that they use hand motions in this game for expressing character sentiment? Uh-oh.
Admiral Quinn to Ops. What's happening?
We're under attack, Admiral. It's the Hurk. Reading Hurk boarding parties. Multiple decks.
What do you guys think of how I did with the Sirion character in terms of looks to real life?
I need you to get to that damaged pylon section and lock it down.
Alright, things are about to get dangerous. Ripped it off. Welcome to the Hurk. Yeah, that's quite the look on the character's face. Alright, so welcome to one of the parts of Star Trek Online, ground combat. And I set this on advanced difficulty, so I hope I'm not going to wind up dying here and making a fool of ourselves on stream, but this is advanced difficulty rather than normal. There's 3 difficulties in game. Hopefully it's not going to prove to be too difficult at the end. I'll go through some of the ground mechanics as we progress through this, but what's one thing that you guys both see about what we have here on the ground when I start activating powers? Tell me if you have any complaints, anyone, about what happens when I activate all those powers.
So let's make sure that doesn't happen.
And as you can tell, it's been a while because I have no idea where I'm going with this one, or on this map currently. My biggest complaint about ground combat and combat in general is that there's not a cinematic mode, because you'll look here that I specifically chose when I was putting the character together for this live stream to use powers that wouldn't cause too much ground clutter. And as you can see, we still got a great deal of ground clutter to work through, which is, I don't know how they do that in World of Warcraft, but I'm not a fan of the ground clutter when I start activating everything.
Nice work, but it's not over.
What do you mean by particle effects or don'ts?
Area above your position. There's a lot of unstable uridium ore in there. If they damage it, it could ignite and set off a chain reaction that could destroy the pylon.
Alright, up we go to the next level. Oh, like this? Or I can't fire right now. Okay. Right. Yeah, that's how they chose to do interaction, and I don't know if that's the best way to go, but who knows? What I just did there is I pressed a button, and that allows me to get a better picture of where to go next. So I should take a minute and just explain what this is, what's happening here. On any ground mission that you do, there is what's called your away team, and these are those 4 extra NPCs that you bring along with you. And the mines you were seeing being dropped were actually being dropped by the away team members. And one of the things that makes Star Trek Online so fun to play with friends is that these 4 people right here, your away team, can actually be substituted out for real people. You can play with up to 4 additional real people on any mission in the game, pretty much. There we go. Now we get to go across.
Okay, you're almost in the clear. The safety systems for the area are currently offline.
Oh, we need to restore power.
Restore power to that section.
And this is what the ground missions are made up of, is that there's a little bit of talking introduction with the various characters. There's some interacting with the game like we're doing right now.
All right,
and there's also the ground combat portion.
They should be up and running in a few minutes. Nice work. I need you to defend that section from the Herc.
Alright, we gotta defend here for 2 minutes. And as you can see here, I'm just throwing down a lot of ground spam at this point in time to try and just hold everyone. Oh god, we're about to die. No, 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 no. That was not supposed to happen. That was not supposed to happen. We appear to be okay, though. I guess that's what you guys came here for, right? A little bit of a show in terms of not having me walk over everything. So we'll accept that as is. I'll go through some of the ground mechanics after in terms of what all this nonsense is that you're seeing on the screen, because just look at how much ground clutter we got going on right now. Yeah, I bet you do have readability thoughts on this. This was a game that Tanis, my co-host for RSBNB Update, attempted to play, but he was really only able to get into the tutorial because some of the missions after the tutorial were just really hard to manage and see through from an accessibility standpoint. So there are, of course, lots of questions about what you're talking about when it comes to readability, Sirion. Right? That's exactly what I was going on about, Zerdones, is that you could call it a fustercluck of everything that's here. And this is a specific ground setup that I chose that was a lot cleaner than other setups that exist in game. So imagine this, but 5 people putting down this kind of spam. Yeah, this is the clean option. All right, now we get to look at space combat.
The Herc are attacking the station and several civilian vessels in the system. I've sent ships to assist them, but I'm concerned our forces are spread
Starfleet
too
vessels,
thin.
this is Quinn. Protect civilian targets.
All right, now that we're up in space, I can talk a little bit about the ship option here. This is the, as we said, the legendary Constitution from Season 2 of Discovery, and it's got hangar pets, so we're going to see those do a lot of work here with that right about now. And this is what most people play Star Trek Online for, is watching the ships go pew-pew from side to side, like this. And if either anybody listening has questions about what we're running or what any of this stuff means, please just do feel free to ask at any point in time, because this is stuff I can talk about for hours on end of what's running here on these ships right now. But you see all the blue weapons being fired. Those are our hangar pets. Those are coming from our ship, and lots of people like carrier gameplay. It's what's called a flight deck carrier that we're flying right now. And as you can see here, we also got a bit of that over-clustering problem of everything showing video spam in space as well. I'm not sure which one's worse or which one's better, but lo and behold, that's what we have to work with. Oh, there's a little ship behind us. One thing that many people don't realize when they pick up this stuff in space, Star Trek Online in space, is that you can go as crazy or as hardcore as you want to, and this build that I put on the ship is somewhere in the middle. Yeah, and you know, when we get everything all clustering together, it really raises a question of what are we doing with that, because sound design, what are we doing with sound design in particular, because all these visual cues are firing off, then we also have all these sound effects at the same time, and you're losing so much essence of it. And that's one thing that I wish was easier to control, is that we had a nicer way to just kind of do things cleanly. There, look at that. See? You want visual spam? There you go. There's some nice visual spam right there. That's ability from one of the other ships that I have, a Plasma Cyclone. Launch a tractor beam. That's one group done. Then we got to go ahead and do more cleanup with the other groups now.
Plotting the course for Beta Z. May the prophets guide you.
May the prophets guide us. know, with the people who are watching right now, the question I have is that, does any of what I'm doing in space here make sense currently? If you were to just watch this, somebody picking it up on a random Twitch directory, or would you need a lot more onboarding with that?
Nice work, but I'm afraid there's bad news. We're picking up Herc vessels and they're heading our way. The station's weapon systems are offline. We need a few minutes to get them up and running. Until then, we're a sitting duck over here.
Oh boy. Alright, fair enough. Pew pew bad guys, that's a good way of looking at it.
Honor your ancestors. Fight now. Let's destroy the Herc.
Concentrate fire on their capital ships.
I wonder what the folks at Cryptic would have to say about that, because they'd like the game to be obviously streamable and shareable, but if all people can see that's going on is that there's stuff being fired and that nobody can really get a sense of the gameplay from that, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Oh, here's another fun example of visual mess.
Don't let the frigate swarms get behind you.
Oh, and there's exactly what he said would happen. The frigate swarms got behind us. And this is another time trial. I'm not sure what to think of these time trials where you have to sit and defend a certain area for X amount of time in current year. I feel like that's something that's kind of fallen by the wayside in game design recently, unless you do it really well. So we got 55 seconds left to go, and for anybody who is obviously new to the game, you'd have a good amount of issues with trying to just stay alive in this kind of mess for that long. And I should also note that one of the things that I have done from time to time is do a deep mechanic dive on any number of these ship builds, which you might have seen in the Clan Quest Discord, talking about various ships and whatnot on various characters, and that's normally the way I play the game. And there's a huge level associated with that you can't learn in the game, and you gotta do it somewhere else, online or other videos. And I guess that also factors into that same kind of readability angle that you guys both in chat recently, Sirion and Zerdones, were talking about, because where else are you to pick these kind of things up? Because this is a game that I've been playing on and off since launch, and I feel fortunate enough to know what's going on. But when I've introduced people to it before, it feels like there's a huge learning curve for that. Are you guys feeling like there'd be a huge learning curve to this based on what you're seeing here in terms of gameplay? Or do you think it would be somewhat manageable in chat? Would this be a manageable game to learn learning curve wise, or does it look very obtuse, something like, I don't know, something like maybe a War Thunder does? Yeah, visual noise, and I think if we were to give this live stream a title, it'd be Visual Noise in Star Trek Online. And like I said, I'm not even creating as much noise with this build as I could. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay, there's the final straggler. Yeah, and your comment on the interface, Sardones, the game's interface starts out like this. One row of abilities, plus your Starship Bridge Officer powers. So it's a lot simpler than what I've been using on my end. I only have the extra rows up because I feel like I need all these buttons up here.
In the meantime, our fleet will do what it...
Yeah, it definitely works you up because you could have up to 10 ability bars on display at once, and I don't even know that I could manage that many. But that's the end of our first mission, Stormcloud's Gather. Introduction to the Herc threat and our characters from the Star Trek Deep Space Nine arc.
The Federation must render aid to the Dominion if we're to have any chance of stopping the Herc onslaught. In the meantime, Kai Kira of Bajor has requested a mission to the Innis system, and Ambassador Odo has...
Would this be a low-level quest? No. This would not be a low-level quest, because if you were to start playing today, you could play this quest right now. You could. But you would start off up here in the Klingon War arc, and the recommended path is to follow this down all the way to where we're at with Gamma Quadrant. But I do need to make the observation that everything in this game scales to level. So if you started an account right now and wanted to come play the next quest with me, we could do that. And I could set it so that the episode difficulty scaling would scale towards your character. And as a result, it would be easy for you, and I would just blow the things right away. And that would effectively result in me having to just kind of sit back and let you do the work. We're going to do our next one, Armistice.
I need your help with a very sensitive mission. A former Kai Opaka...
Actually, but before we do that, since we're talking about accessibility, this entire Gamma Quadrant story arc actually came out with the Jem'Hadar characters, the playable Jem'Hadar characters. And those playable Jem'Hadar characters start at level 60. Our current level cap in game is 65. So, in theory, anybody who starts the game could start with the end game character. And that's the only time they did that, is that you can, for free, just make an end game character and have all your levels set for you. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a shock that they offer an option to create a character that's at level 60 out of 65 already. But there were, I think the considerations that went into doing that was that there was a lot of community discussion of people who wanted to create alts, but didn't want to go through the rigmarole of leveling them up to level 60 through various methods. So, since some people were obviously paying shady services to have their characters level, they said, okay, we'll just put in an option where you can get a character that's at level 60. Right? World's tiniest violin. Anyways, onwards to Armistice.
I need your help with a very sensitive mission. A former Kai, Opaka, was trapped on a prison moon in the Gamma Quadrant in 2369. Alien nanotech in her system prevents her from leaving the moon, but it also sustains her life indefinitely while on the surface. It seems the wardens of the prison were planning on...
And this is what Star Trek Online does best again. It's focusing on a specific Deep Space Nine episode and bringing that back to the game. And that's why many people call this the Star Trek theme park.
To us as a peace offering. The moon hasn't been hit by the Herc, but it's only a matter of time. We need to cure Opaka and the others and get them. Something else on your mind?
Alright, I just want to make a change to one of my bridge officers for this. There. I gave my Jem'Hadar bridge officer some Ketracel White. Yes, we need that white. And what you just witnessed there was me using the in-game transwarp system, which is akin to RuneScape's lodestones.
Good, we've arrived. I suggest scanning the prison moon and its satellite network. They might have fixed the design flaw we exploited here years ago to bypass their defenses.
Those satellites could cripple a Starfleet runabout with one shot back then. I'd rather not find out how powerful they are now. If you...
Scan the prison moon and see what's up.
Looks like the satellite weapon and defense systems were updated to deal with modern vessels, but they still have the same flaw that Mars O'Brien took advantage of years ago.
You should be able to distract the satellites by firing probes near their position. Distract enough of them, and you'll clear an area long enough to safely beam down an away team. Picking up some debris clouds from Herc ships in orbit.
What do you guys think of the modeling on the starship?
It's possible some Herc bypassed the satellites. We should be ready.
I know Sarah and I have talked many times before behind the scenes about the modeling processes that they use for the game and how the game looks for that. But I mean, 2010 engine, I think it's pretty decent. Yeah, very true. Very true. Less uncanny valley than the character models.
We're in position.
Watch it. We're in range of their weapons.
Uh-oh.
All right.
You'll note that was a quick double click there.
Yangtze Jiang, or what's left of her, rather. Looks like the locals have scavenged everything of value from the old girl. Unlike her, they can never die thanks to the nanotech inside.
Right. The last time we were here, the prisoners were eager to be cured, if only to get the chance to kill their rivals off for good.
There's a bit of a reverb on her voice. That's interesting how they change that depending on the environment that she's in.
We're not alone. Herc life signs dead ahead.
Oh, the Herc are already here. So I'm not going to activate any of my ground modules for this combat, and I'll just see if that makes a difference in terms of the general ground clutter that we have to put up with here, and you guys can comment on whether or not that makes things feel better or not, just to show what the difference is of not using any of these powers.
There's no sign of the alien nanites in their bodies. Something in the Herc genetic makeup isn't compatible with the nanites.
How does the gun play? Okay, so that's a very good question, because when the game launched, there was just this traditional RPG mode where you could press buttons down here in the ability bar to activate things. But in one of the later updates, they added shooter mode where you can actually point and click. But there is no direct aiming for headshots and whatnot to score more damage. That's all down to RNG. If that answers your question. Vestigial? I'm sorry, Zerdones. I don't know what that word is. If you could define it for me. What's on the back of my head? I don't exactly see what's on the back of my head, Tim F. Ah, okay. Yeah, underdeveloped. This is what it looks like when you aim in on shooter mode. Alright, I'm gonna pop some kit abilities just to clear this room.
I think you'll find that she'll be in good health within moments. The healing nanites are quite effective. In fact, they seem to have become more efficient than they were last time I was here.
There's definitely strategy and skill on the higher end elite content, what we call TFOs, Task Force Operations, or what other games would call raids. That definitely exists for those.
Yes.
But as for what we need to do in the missions, not so much.
Come with us. We'll take you to her. Unless you'd rather stand around here until more of those things show up.
I see we got an emoji reaction in chat. What exactly are you reacting to? I believe Sirion said that. Is that a crying monkey?
Waiting for you in the temple ahead.
I don't know what a crying monkey would have to do with Star Trek Online.
Welcome. It's been some time since we've had peaceful visitors. And Kai Kira, it's been too long. Truly, the prophets have smiled upon us today.
Indeed they have. We have brought the cure. You'll be able to live a normal life away from here. You'll be free.
And we have something to bring with us. A miracle.
An orb.
Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty rough on the facial animations there.
The Orb of Peace. Through it, we ended the war between Ennis and Noel Ennis. As you can see, our peace has been shattered by the arrival of the hostile aliens. We have tried to speak with them, to find reason, but we have failed.
They're called Herc, and there's no reasoning with them.
We actually will find out at some point in the future exactly why there's no reasoning with them.
I see. We must take the orb with us as well. I can't have it falling into the hands of such a warlike species. It would be like the occupation all over again.
That's not going to happen. I won't allow it, and neither will my friends. We can administer the cure to everyone in groups. With your permission, we'll start right away.
Very well. Begin the procedure.
And this is one of the things I really appreciated of this story arc, is that it feels as though that we are in an actual episode of Deep Space Nine,
Some time ago,
but at the same
I
time
asked
we're
the
also
Gear for
progressing
this cure. I wanted to use the
Star
cure as
Trek
a weapon
Online's
and kill the
native storyline
I couldn't put the
further and
door with
learning
the
things
I hated
that
you
are
for
going
denying
to
my
come
chance
to
to
benefit us in later episodes.
Now that's changed, thanks to the Kai.
After all this time, to live a normal life, it's like... The cure, huh? Well, this cure had better work.
I think there was at some point in the Deep Space Nine character or episode development, there was a question that in one of the later seasons they wanted to go back to this planet and never did. And I think that's what inspired this episode for Star Trek Online, if I remember what the dev said about this.
For real? This cure. They talked about it a little after the...
And one of the things that's actually really benefited the game in the recent years, since the active production of TV Star Trek has picked up, is that these game developers, and in particular the executive producer who obviously calls the shots for the game, they have a very good relationship with the people at CBS. And as a result of that, we've been able to get some nice, I guess we could say, crossovers between some of the more recent Discovery stuff that happened in Season 2 and what we did for the anniversary back in February of 2019 of Star Trek Online.
Today. May the blessings of the prophets be yours.
Those things are attacking! Defend yourselves!
And we got another Herc fight.
Going down! Medic! Someone help him!
I'm afraid he's dead. There's nothing we can do for him.
And you'll recall that this was one of the characters that was in the original episode where this planet was featured.
Though we will mourn the loss.
How does this cross over with Discovery? That's a very good question, Zerdones.
At long last, he was able to leave this place for a better.
I mean, it looks red if you
finally at peace.
count for the glow that's happening on
Will
this.
join the prophets in the celestial temple.
So, how does this cross over with Discovery? When Discovery, after Discovery Season 1 launched and they were heading into Season 2, they did a update for the game that was called Age of Discovery, and they brought in the Discovery characters.
We'll join up with you there.
And the Discovery characters effectively are bystanders to the Starbase 1 attack during Season 1 of the Klingon War of Star Trek Discovery. And there's an incident that happens at the attack of Starbase 1 with one of the Klingons that causes some temporal shenanigans, which I know certain folks here listening don't like, that causes your character that you create, who is a cadet in the Discovery era, to be kicked forward to our current timeline of 2410. And it turns out that the tech that was used, and I'm not spoiling any Discovery here, it's aspect from one of the Star Trek Online missions, but the tech that was used to transfer further into the future by the Klingons was actually mycelial tech that was stolen by the Klingons from the USS Glenn in one of the Season 1 episodes of Discovery. And that's how you wind up with Discovery characters in Star Trek Online. And Sirion here is a Discovery character, actually. We also have another time travel arc when it was the 50th anniversary for the premiere of the original series. We had an original series themed expansion where you could make an original series character, and through a different kind of temporal shenanigans, the temporal Cold War, we're able to make a character in the Kirk original series era and have that one brought forward to 2410 as well. And I should say that we are at 2410, which is about 10 years after Star Trek Picard, and about 30 years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis and Lower Decks. And you'll note that since we're a Discovery character, we have a different transport out effect than everyone else. Alright, time to fight the Herc again. And you'll see why I scaled up the difficulty to advanced, because if I was to just run this on normal, everything I'd be shooting would just blow up instantly, and I wanted a bit of a challenge just to give a bit of an approximation of what it would be like for somebody who is just starting out.
Warning, ship is under attack.
Let's move the ship behind the satellites and lure the Herc in.
Hull integrity below 75%.
Just in time. Here they come.
And lo and behold, here another 2 minute countdown of having to survive while we wait. I don't think she is. I think she died in 2016? That reminds me, I should show you guys the memorial plaque before we end off for today, because that is something else special that they do. Yeah, I think Roddenberry was 91 or 1990. You know, I don't want to focus on the negative aspect of it, but when Leonard Nimoy died, there was, for I think 3 or 4 days after the fact, there was a constant vigil for him on Vulcan here in the game. And because the players did that, the devs actually honored him and put forward a huge statue of him in-game on Vulcan and on New Romulus. And when Aaron, the guy who played Nog, passed away a number of years ago as well, everybody gathered on Deep Space Nine at the spot where him and Jake sat in the show, for, once again, a couple days after the fact at least. So it's as much a Star Trek theme park and getting to RP whenever you want, as it is I guess you could say honor, or honorarium, or a time capsule to everything that has been and will be Trek.
It looks like the Herc have had enough for now. Let's get the rest of Opaka's people out of the colony while we can. The Herc might send a larger force to finish us off.
I'm glad I was able to administer the cure to the remaining prisoners while
I'm sure you were glad.
Transport site. Everyone is safely aboard and mortal for the first time in many years.
Thank you, Julian. It means a lot to me to have everyone out safely, especially Opaka.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine.
Now, if I remember, this is going to be a really neat cutscene.
Emissary, our paths meet again.
Hello, Ben. It's good to hear from you.
And that is the only Captain Sisko, Emissary Sisko that we get in Star Trek Online. Because the deal that Cryptic, the game devs, have is that they're allowed to use any of the audio from any of the episodes in the game. And that was Armistice.
I'm glad we were able to return Opaka to Bajor safely.
What was the...
She's determined to follow...
Oh, we unlock outfits. I didn't know that was a thing, that they did outfit unlocks. Well, you learn something new every day.
The Dominion are open to discussing this. We'll see.
Now,
Many of us have not forgotten the fate of the
for those watching in chat, the question
Congratulations, Admiral.
I have for you is, how did that mission feel compared to the first mission? That's the question I want to know, is that, did you feel anything different with this mission than you did the previous one? Less chaotic and less spammy, and maybe that's because we didn't fight as much Herc. I don't know. So we've been going for about an hour now. I'm going to move on to the next mission, and after this mission, we'll see where we're at time-wise, but I might open it up to the chat to determine if we do another mission after that, or if I show you what the end game content looks like.
Expeditionary force into the outer reaches of their territory. The Herc aren't as numerous there, and we're hoping we can learn more about them while we render aid to the Dominion in that sector.
And now this is an episode where it appears we'll be doing a lot of learning about what's going on in the backstory, and that's something I really appreciate, is that we can have these missions that are steeped in lore. And what I equate this to RuneScape-wise is those quests where we would learn something about the Elder Gods, for example, that kind of thing.
Be seeing you.
Yeah, and you know, if you're a level 50 character or level 60 character nowadays, I guess there's always a question of what you can do, whether it's play through all the episodes or, like I do, min-max and chase DPS at the end of the game. But I don't know what somebody would do who isn't necessarily involved in that endgame DPS chase like I am, because there's only so many episodes that are available to play, and it's unfortunate that the devs have said that one of the most expensive things that they can build are new episodes for everyone to play. So
all ships target the Herc and fire at will.
oh hey, look what we got here. we got the USS Defiant here. And it's not explicitly said, but it's something that those who want to pay attention and notice will notice and appreciate. Ooh, that was something. Also, fun fact, since we're in space combat right now, it is possible to make very deadly space combat builds that utilize no weapons whatsoever.
I can see you're a handy person to have around. And while I'd like
Does anybody have any questions about anything space-related systems-wise in terms of how everything all jives together? Or since I know we got a good number of RuneScape watchers, if there's any parallels to systems that we have there?
This planet appears to have been abandoned some time ago. No life signs detected. Sensors indicate an extensive network of defunct mines. I'm reading residual levels of dilithium, topoline, chemosite, and several components used in the production of Ketracel White.
They're going for the station.
Alright, we'll get these reinforcements, then I will show you something that RuneScape has that this game also has.
What are they after?
Turn around. There we go. All right. So I mentioned that we might have something in this game that is a little bit RuneScape related, and the one system that is the closest to a RuneScape system is the Endeavor system in this game, which is effectively RuneScape's daily challenge system. You get 3 daily challenges that you can do, and one that refreshes every 3 days. That's a little bit more involved. And as you complete them, you get perk points that allows you to spec out your character. This is probably the closest system to anything that RuneScape has, and that's about where the similarities end system-wise.
Don't go to warp just yet. We're picking up a distress signal over here. You should take a look.
Now what this is a little mini game that comes and goes that allows you to... It feels like it's just a time gate. I don't know if you guys saw what I did there, but it was effectively modulating a waveform. And
can't be a coincidence.
It's whenever you need to analyze something in space, that's what they pop up, and I'm not entirely sure if that's something that people appreciate.
Is that really a good use of our time? The Karemans are very resourceful. They design a considerable number of weapons and defense systems for the Dominion. I'm confident they can deal with the Herc on their own. As for Quark, he's quite capable of getting himself out of trouble. Trouble, I might add, that he had no business getting into in the first place.
As you can see here that the Odo-Quark dynamic exists, and exactly it was as it was on screen.
I'm shocked. I know Quark's a gambler, but I
I never realized you were as well. Karema is a...
Very well, since I can...
Where did all these ships come from?
Where did all these ships come from?
The Karema system. Let's find out what Quark needs, deal with it, and move on.
Far be it for me to question the word of a founder, but that is a very large Dominion fleet I'm reading on sensors. I only mention it because we were led to believe Odo's fleet was the last. Your presence is not required here. Explain yourself.
I bet nobody was anticipating this. The female shapeshifter.
What you could do and should do are separate matters, Solid. You would be wise to learn the difference. Karema is part of the Dominion. We are here to assist them, if they wish it. The Karemans are proud. If they wish to stand alone and deal with the Herc, we will certainly accommodate them. Should they decide to ask for aid, we will gladly assist them. The point may soon be moot, however. Karemans are known for their potent weapons and defense systems. Odo commands an expeditionary fleet. It is his to use in a mission to seek and destroy the Herc as he sees fit. My fleet is a defense fleet. It seems the distinction was not made clear.
I will take responsibility for their actions in Kareman space. One of our operatives...
You're quite persistent, aren't you? Very well. In the spirit of our newfound pact with the Alliance, I will allow you to proceed, albeit at your own risk. Exercise caution, Odo. It would be tragic for you to come so far, only to end it all here over Karema.
It seems we're not getting the whole story here.
And what I just demonstrated there, and I was waiting for an opportunity to do so, was that you can effectively do the same thing that some people do on RuneScape of spacebarring through quests, as you can spacebar through content here if you want to. Or you can go down the entire tree and look at everything that is an option to say. So that's something that Trek fans do appreciate as well from this game. Now, the question is, what's going to happen after we kill all these? And I am asking that as a legitimate question because I don't think I've actually played this episode. I don't know why, but I have no memory of playing this one back when it was launched. So we are on a new adventure here, friends on stream, which is actually really, really good. Yeah, we'll just end everybody right there. Kaboom.
My sensors are showing a broad band of interference in the area.
It's never a good idea when you hail someone and they don't reply, so something might be up here.
More secure frequency to use for communications.
And here's that waveform modulation thing again.
Hello? Can you hear me? We need help, and fast! Most of our planetary defense lines are in danger of being overrun by the Herc. We tried to evacuate, but the Jem'Hadar fleet opened fire on our ship.
Combat is notoriously chaotic. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for that.
There's always a reasonable explanation for friendly fire, is just what he said.
Help the the Karemans.
in another language.
I wonder. Ah, yes. We should try to find Quark soon. It's quite possible he's the only Ferengi on the planet. A deep-range...
Let's see if we can find that Ferengi. Only one Ferengi life sign, surrounded by Karma and Herc. Doesn't this just feel like this would be exactly in character for Quark?
We need to get Quark out quickly before he has an encounter with the Herc of the fatal variety. Let's go down together while Captain Kira and the Ambassador cover our ships in orbit.
An encounter of the fatal variety. That's another good title for this stream.
We're about as close to Quark's last known location as we can get with transporters. I'm afraid we'll have... Quark's life sign is near here. Let's try to find a way in.
Alright, this is our first ground environment on a planet that's not a space station or anything. I know we've been having a conversation about the game's aesthetic and how it looks for a 2010 game. How do you guys feel about how the ground environments look? Keeping in mind this was 2015, so this is about 5 years old at this point, but it's still the same engine. What I just did there was you get these little ground anomalies from time to time, like that one that appeared. And if you scan them or interact with them, you can get materials for the in-game crafting system. Oh, it's a cave we have to go through.
Interesting. The metal in the walls here completely scatters my sensors. Ah, more. Seems really like
You know, with Herc, we're effectively fighting Calphites, I thought, if we were to make a RuneScape comparison. That's exactly the comparison that makes sense with that.
My tricorder shows a Ferengi life sign beyond that rather secure door. Unfortunately, the Kareman security system is beyond me. Given time, I could crack.
Oh, okay. I've never played Mass Effect, so... And people might have a opinion about this, but I tried about an hour or so of the first game, but I could just never get into it.
Thanks for the timely rescue. I don't suppose you'd be willing to turn a blind eye to all the contraband you've seen down here? It'd save me the trouble of shooting you later.
It would save me the trouble of shooting you later. I'm trying to put my finger on if we had this kind of comedy that they do in-game at all in any of the series out there. Perhaps the closest is maybe Lower Decks, which actually just started again yesterday for Season 2. Oh, is that what it's on in the UK? Amazon Prime. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Harry Mudd.
Am I glad to see you? Thought for sure we'd be safe from those things down here. Caves do a number on sensors and transporters, but that didn't slow them down much. That'd be Quark.
The other Dominion ships just left the system. We're on our own.
For now, we're on our own.
Right there.
Not necessarily a
I'll
problem.
stay here while you save everyone.
It. I was gonna get eaten by one of those things. Oh, him.
Ah, yeah, everybody
I
knows
saw
what the
my brother
Ferengi
and
is
some of his
now.
men hustled a little grifter into a vault before those monsters got in here. Good luck getting him out of.
Alright, I guess we'll go save Quark, depending on how people feel about that. I know there's people who wouldn't, but we gotta save him for the progression of the storyline.
Perhaps waiting here would be best. The outer world is still a mess.
Oh, we can't open that? Quark has a good heart under all the Latinum ego. Yeah, that's true. So... I think we might have a bug here. I don't know how this door is supposed to open. Should have an indicator there. That's the way we go. Oh, shooting it won't work. Alright, maybe if we backtrack a bit, that will help. It won't work, but it feels good. Is that what people feel when they do percussive maintenance on their computers? I don't think that's a good thing to do with, given how expensive CPUs and GPUs are in this day and age. Well, if this doesn't work when we go back, I don't know what the solution is for this. Ay, 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 ay. Well, welcome to Star Trek Online, folks. Sometimes I guess we're in a position where the mission will just decide to quit. Yeah, exactly. Open doors in my objective list, and there's no option to open it. Special effects person is dozed off, yeah. No, you're not going to open? Alright, I guess we try the nuclear option of beaming up and coming back down unless I'm missing anything in here, which I don't think is the case. Yeah. Whoosh is the whoosh noise. Guys on break. All the different door whoosh noises. You know, it doesn't surprise me that the game did this, which is rather unfortunate for a live stream when we're trying to show it off. Now we're going to see what happens if we're able to use the most recent checkpoint or if we need to go back. Oh no. Where did that put us? Most times the game is not bugging. The game can't be broken. It's a post-money society.
Quark's life sign is near here. Let's try to find a way in.
All right. Well, we're going back. We're going back a little bit for that, and just because we don't want to spend too much time, I'm going to turn the difficulty one knob down so that we actually will be able to effectively just blow everything apart in one go, because we already did that, and I'm not a fan of wasting people's time. Yeah, I love that pun like that. Zerdodes, if that's what you do, and you've been holding out on all of Clan Quest for that, we need more of that.
How convenient. We've found a hidden path. Let's have a look. Interesting. The metal in the walls here completely scatters my senses.
All right.
More.
I'm just gonna let it rip here and do everything. And we will skip the dialogue for this because we already went through all this. But hey, at least you guys get to see this part of the mission again. Yep, we're spacebarring because of a game bug.
Am I glad to see that'd be... The door's right there. I'll stay here while you save everyone.
Wouldn't that be embarrassing if I died on the lowest difficulty level?
Thanks for the...
Alright, then we're gonna go zoom and grab the other one now.
We're on our own.
Alright, I'll wait for you here. Try not to die, okay?
Try not to die, okay? Try not to die, okay? That's a fun line. Oh, you can see there I accidentally unminimized the chat.
That was it.
Alright, fingers crossed the door will open this time.
Perhaps waiting here would be best. The outer world and here we all are, alive and kicking. Wonderful. We had a deal, and I'm not about to back out on it, especially since you're all so well-armed and cranky. Not the kind of people I want to cross.
That was a wonderful line. And in the end, they just put in quotation marks distant Ferengi scream. And the door opened. Is anyone else finding these screams as funny as I am?
It's good to see you too, Quark. I see your mission was a successful one as well.
Yes, Garrick, I found your mysterious widget. What is it exactly? It's
A mysterious widget.
They found it a few days before I got here. I haven't had a lot of time to analyze it, thanks to the Herc.
I see. Thank you, Quark. This narrows things down considerably.
It does. Good. That makes it more valuable.
Indeed it does.
Alright, thanks, Zerdones.
Indeed it does.
See you around. Alright, Quark and the First Minister.
Not the liberators I was expecting, but thank you nonetheless. Those of us on the edge of the Dominion were abandoned when the invasion began. In light of that, we voted to secede, to truly stand alone. The Dominion stood by while the Herc attacked us. We held off the invasion for a while, but their numbers are great. When we asked for aid, the Dominion refused. When we tried to evacuate, their fleet opened fire.
Just the Dominion being the Dominion, I guess.
Well, First Minister, it looks like my distress call was heard. We're saved. Thank you. Looks like your reputation for getting things done is well-deserved. And as for you, Garrick, you and I need to have a long discussion. Seems you forgot to mention that Karema was under a Dominion blockade and in the middle of a Herc invasion. Do Cardassians go senile? Oh, don't answer that. I don't want to know. What I do know is you're not paying me enough for this aggravation.
Alright, maybe we can get out of here now with some pattern enhancers.
The Herc are leaving. For now.
Yep, pattern
Good luck
enhancer
with the
ex machina.
revolution, Minister. You'll need it. You'll be hearing from me soon, Garrick.
I'm looking forward to it.
You won't when you see my bill.
Now that we're past that unpleasantness, I think it's time we had a chat with Ambassador Odo, particularly about this technological...
Oh, we have to have a chat.
I have my suspicions, of course. Suffice it to say, I believe you'll find its purpose of great interest to all concerned parties. My main curiosity lies in what the Ambassador will have to say about it.
With this, you gotta wonder what Garrick exactly has up his sleeve.
Excellent. I'll make...
What is this?
Alright. This should be an interesting cutscene.
Stand down, all of you. To what do I owe this unexpected visit?
I hope you'll forgive the intrusion, Ambassador. We need to speak in person.
What are you up to, Garrick?
That's a very good question. What's this about exactly?
It's in regard to this device we found on Karema. Do you know what it is?
No idea. Some new Kareman military tech, perhaps?
Interesting. But no. The Karemans didn't make this. But it is a Dominion creation.
And its purpose?
I'm sure I have no idea, Ambassador. It does emit a signal, however. It's quite similar to that used by the Herc. Perhaps I should turn it on and show you?
There's no need for that.
I don't like where this is going, Garrick.
Nor I, Captain. You see, I found a similar device on Bajor.
On Bajor? When?
Right after the recent Herc attack, I'm afraid. Captain, scan the device. You'll find the soil residue on it is of Bajoran origin.
It does. It's from the Kendra province. Well, that doesn't mean that Odo...
Enough, Nerys. I can't have you defending me on this.
What?
Garrick's right. These devices called the Herc, and we put them there.
Explain. Now.
We needed the Alliance's help immediately. There wasn't time for summits or diplomacy. So I found a high-value target and led the Herc to it. I also took steps to make sure their attack would fail. Bajor was never at risk. You have to understand that.
You put my entire planet at risk.
Oh, that's a fun little
Died,
smirk
Odo.
on Garrick's face. I love that.
Save it. I've heard enough.
Please continue, Odo. You were saying?
I did what I needed to do to bring the Alliance into the war. I lied. Risked the lives of millions to save billions more. But there's more to this than a staged Herc attack. The other founders are hiding things from me. If I challenge them now, I'll have no chance to find out what. So, for now, I have to play the part.
Well, you're doing a great job of that, Odo. Or should I say, founder?
Trust me when I say I understand your position, Odo. The captain, on the other hand...
I know. I have a strong lead, but I'll need your help to move on it.
You know how to reach me. It seems you are a gambler, Odo, and a high-stakes one at that.
You have no idea.
Alright, so I think we can start to unpack a little bit about what happened here.
I need you to understand
And
Bajor
it looks
was
as though
never
that the
risked.
Dominion has a problem with the Herc.
I made sure that my
And in order to get the help of the
Karema was not
Federation,
my decision. Do you
they summoned the Herc not only on Bajor, but
It is
a
not my
number of
place to
other
question the will of the founders.
planets that
Your mind,
we
however,
saw in
is your
the
own.
previous mission arc to this one. And as a result of that, then, well, let's just say that tensions amongst the Dominion and Federation are a little bit rougher than they used to be.
Every word? It is a message from said founder that brings me here now. She would remind you of your purpose.
How kind of you to deliver the message in person. Thank you for your service.
Serve the founders, yes, but also serve them well. Do recall the fate of your predecessor. She thought...
The same could be said for your predecessor as well, dear Wayun. Have you forgotten his sins? I know...
The sins of Wayun 7, 8, and 9.
This is a private conversation. Unless you're here on a matter of the utmost importance, I suggest you find someone else to speak with.
Quite the revelation, don't you think? It will be interesting to see how the powers that be respond to all this. For now, I think it's best to keep...
Alright, return to our ships. And that's the end of this mission. So we've been going for about an hour and 50 minutes right now. The question I have is, would you guys rather see another episode today, or would you rather just take a quick look at what some of the endgame content looks like, since this is the first time that we're actually looking at Star Trek Online here? And if I get no answer, I'll just show the next mission, because I think that, I'll show some of the endgame content, because if we look at the mission arc for this one, we're closing in on halfway done, and we have been going for almost 2 hours, and I think that's a good viewing time, about 2 hours long. So, are there any major questions about what we saw here on this episode run so far on the search, as it was called? Just pop some stuff into our daily endeavors, and I'll take the opportunity to complete the critical chance school for ground. No questions. All right. Well, since we have been going for about 2 hours, I think I'm going to hop over to a DPS character, and we'll just end the stream by showing off what the so-called meta DPS looks like in Star Trek Online today, and show what one of the advanced runs looks like compared to... normally we do Elite, but we'll look at an advanced one instead, just since I don't feel like organizing a full 5-man group for that. What I've done is I have hopped over to a tactical character. This is a Romulan character. The Romulans are the highest DPS and characters in-game, and it's something that people are, let's just say, in some communities a little bit salty about, and given what we know about the RuneScape community, I think we know what community I'm pointing my fingers at right now, but nonetheless, it's all in good fun. So I'll queue up for one of our DPS benchmarks, the map we always use for DPS benchmarks, which is fighting the Borg. This is Infected the Conduit, and a fun little tidbit about these TFO runs, or task force operations as they're called. When the game first came out, the runs used to be combined into a ground and space portion, and they used to be these huge epic raid style maps like you'd have in World of Warcraft, where it would take you 30 minutes to an hour just to complete one run. And obviously over time, the idea behind what is acceptable for a certain amount of gameplay has changed, and they split them apart, because some of the ground missions, the endgame ground missions that were put in 2012 or so, and you can still access, if you don't have a competent team, you can be there for probably upwards of 30 to 45 minutes.
The situation is grim. There's more.
So this is going to be an example of what a meta DPS build looks like at the endgame. We traditionally fight the Borg for these ones. This is advanced difficulty rather than Elite. This is one of the game's newest ships, the Courage class, as you probably could have seen in Star Trek Discovery Season 3. I'm running an all-torpedo build on this one, meaning no energy weapons of major consequence, and everything is done with kinetic projectiles. So I'll take a quick run at that and show you how this works in the grand scheme of things here. Yeah, and this is why I wanted to show this, is because in our story run through earlier, I built it in such a way that I was trying to limit the amount of visual clutter that we'd have, but I wanted to show this for the complete opposite end, where the entire map is, in effect, exploding around you, and you really can't see what's going on unless you use the interface, which probably isn't for the best of things in terms of game design. But this is how people choose to play it, and I just wanted to show this off for the full Star Trek Online experience, for better or worse. And that's complete. And as you can see, I have no idea how many times I've run this mission, but this is the endgame DPS chase. You don't have to do this, but it is one way to play Star Trek Online. Just there's many ways when it comes to story to do that. Yeah, epilepsy warning. That's something that the game probably does need. When it comes to the amount of flashy stuff on screen, and I don't think anybody's ever talked about that as being something that was needed. Just a couple other things before we go here. This is our exchange, our equivalent of the Grand Exchange here that we have in Star Trek Online. See, we have different categories for all types of items. Lockbox keys. Each gambling key that Cryptic sells is currently going for 9.6 million energy credits apiece. If I was selling things, the list would appear here. And it's a fairly intuitive interface, and I know lots of people have requested something similar like this for RuneScape, but obviously that economy wouldn't work like that. I think by accessibility standards, this would never be acceptable, especially for accessibility reasons, but even for normal people. Yes, you're 100% right with that. And that's one of the reasons I actually wanted to see if Tanis would play this game and level a character to level 50 and see what his entire perspective on the game would be from his accessibility angle. But it kind of says a lot that he wasn't able to get through the first tutorial mission because of accessibility. And I think that's something Cryptic definitely needs to work on, which is rather unfortunate that people who would be hard of sight aren't able to take in the game in such a full way. So. But I believe we can call it there. We've been going for just under 2 hours now. This has been Star Trek Online. Maybe we'll be back at some point in the next couple of weeks or so to finish that arc. But I look forward to that. And if you are new to the Clan Quest channel here, definitely give us a follow. And I believe Cyan and Sirion will be back with next week's regular streams. And if you want more Star Trek Online, DM me on Discord. You can find me in the Clan Quest Discord at discord.clanquest.org. Thanks so much. See you next time, everyone. Goodbye.